What's the future of digital and mobile ordering at Starbucks?
Ideally, what we'd love to do is match the drink with when you show up so that everybody gets their order in really good speed.
Yeah. Venti dark roast.
Venti dark roast, at what time do you need it?
As soon as I walk in. Hey guys, how's it going? Hi, this is us. Hi everybody, welcome back to Sidekicks Conversations. I'm Mike Sievert. Today's episode is a special one for me because I'm not sure if you know this or not, but I serve on the board of directors at Starbucks. And that means I've had a front row seat to the exciting transformation happening there. And joining me today to talk all about it is a leader known for revitalizing some of the world's most iconic brands. He's the Starbucks CEO, Brian Niccol. Welcome, Brian.
Yeah.
All right, let's get right down to business here.
Right.
I know we're in Sidekicks Pub, but we're enjoying our Starbucks today, of course. You must be an enthusiast. What's your go-to drink, man?
Yeah, so first, great to be here. You know, I'm simple in the morning with an Americano with an extra shot, tall Americano with an extra shot, and then in the afternoon I usually get a cold brew with a chocolate cold foam. So if you haven't tried the chocolate cold foam, by the way, it's great on everything.
I figured there'd be a commercial in there somewhere. Yeah.
And feel free to add egg bites or grilled cheese.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to get to that. All right, so what made you decide to come do this? I mean, I was part of the board of directors that recruited you and hired you.
Yeah, you tell me.
Why did you say yes? What made you decide to say yes?
Yeah, so before this, I was working on Chipotle, and you know, great business, great group of people, and you know, when I got the phone call about this opportunity, it was one of those things where Starbucks is one of those brands that, frankly, I've always admired. I've always been a customer, and even when I started my career at P&G, I remember we were kind of almost studying how did Starbucks create this experiential business or brand. So to get the opportunity to work on one of these iconic American brands that's global, I think that's actually an important brand and company to America, and the opportunity to hopefully work with great people to turn it around. It was just something, you know, I had to go give it a try, and you know, I do believe we've got a really resilient brand that when we start doing a few things, I think better and more consistently, the business will get back on its front foot.
Tell us what you mean by turnaround. You know, to a lot of us who aren't experts at quick serve restaurants, you know, we love Starbucks the way it is, and yet from a business performance standpoint, part of the reason why you came was to conduct a transformation and really get it going in a new direction. What did Starbucks need? What does it need?
Yeah, so look, I think it's this classic case where I think Starbucks has drifted away from its kind of core reason that people love the brand or the experience. And you know, the reality is the third place of Starbucks and that connection with a barista was a moment and an experience that I think truly makes it very unique. I think unfortunately COVID kind of took a little bit of the soul out of Starbucks because you were no longer allowed to gather, and the whole idea of connecting, really they had to figure out how to adapt the model so that it could survive during those times. And so as a result, we started doing some things where we're like removing chairs, pickup only stores, I think trying to get more efficient at the expense of experience. And you know, as an outsider, when the opportunity called to say, hey, look, the business is struggling, I saw some of these things as like, well, geez, this just seems like it's ripe to get fixed by doing some basic things that make the brand magnetic or the reason why people love the business. And bringing those things back, I think is something that will turn the business back around where our partners are more engaged, our customers are more engaged. We'll probably do better innovation because when the foundation is strong, the innovation is stronger.
I was personally really inspired when I heard your first set of insights, and probably more importantly, the label you gave them. You're calling your transformation of this company
back to Starbucks.
Yeah. Say more about that.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. So I was having a conversation with our marketing and food team and product team this morning, and I was like, look, the reason we need to get back to Starbucks is because if we get the foundation right, then that allows us to actually go forward a lot faster. And my point in this is if you go back to what made Starbucks great, it was when you would walk in, the barista might know your name, maybe they know your order, maybe they know your story. But ultimately, what they had was a connection with you as a customer. And that transformed it just being an Americano into my Starbucks order or my Starbucks experience, right?
With the extra shot.
With the extra shot, that's right.
I think one of the reasons our viewers are probably fascinated with you is that, as I said in my intro, you've had a transformational impact, along with, I know, amazing coworkers, in revitalizing Taco Bell as the leader of Taco Bell. You entered Chipotle years ago at a time of real crisis, and that business is twice the size now. So let's talk about your approach to leadership. I can tell, just listening to you in these last 5 minutes, how enthusiastic you are, and I also get the sense in your reputation is you're kind of hands-on. You know, you get in there and do it and really learn it. And from the lens of the person at Starbucks, the green apron partner, the person doing the work on the front line. Tell me about that whole approach to leadership.
If you're going to lead these consumer-facing businesses, you got to understand what your customer is experiencing and what the frontline employee is actually experiencing. If you don't have that understanding, it's hard for you to implement change or implement programs that actually can be, I would say, additive in the store. And then also remove the things that are getting in the way. So, you know, at Taco Bell, you know, the business was a little bit more entertainment than it was necessarily, you know, food culinary techniques and so on and so forth, right? And so, you know, while I was there, when I was talking to a lot of our employees, they were like, look, you know, it'd be great if we could simplify the menu and then also do these innovative things with the existing ingredients, just changing the way in which we layered the products, or sometimes putting in different textures or different spices. You know, the thing that most people know is Doritos Locos Tacos. You know, we added nacho cheese to the taco shell, and that took off. Chipotle was a little different from the standpoint of it really is culinary and a commitment to a certain type of ingredient from farm all the way to the grill. And, you know, Chipotle, it was interesting. I got there and, you know, we had struggled with a food safety incident. And as a result, we were trying to do things to get transactions back. And we were doing things, though, that just didn't make sense for Chipotle. Like, we were going to try a smaller burrito. We were going to try doing bundle meals. It was all these things that were just completely against what Chipotle is about. Chipotle is about actually great food, but customized at speed. And frankly, you get to control that customization right in front of you. And so, you know, you got to recognize what makes the business unique and what makes the business special. And the other thing I'd tell you too is I had the opportunity to recruit and bring in really great people. They should be the ones that hopefully are pushing us to the next level because they're more in the details. Yeah. They're more of an expert than I am.
And as you said earlier, the front line and the people managing and working with the front line should be doing the same thing. And
Absolutely.
That's a big part of the leadership style, right?
Yeah, that's right.
I feel like, by the way, this is one of the things that our two companies have in common. Yeah. You know, both companies are known for making that frontline role not just a job, but a career. Things like tuition reimbursement, healthcare for even for part-time people, every single employee being a shareholder. These are things that are very rare, and both of our companies happen to have them in common. And a big piece of that then is giving people a voice and figuring out how to solve the customer's problem through the lens of the people closest to the customer.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, part of the reason why I so badly wanted to put the condiment bar back in right away is because that's what our partners were telling us they needed.
Partners are employees.
Partners are our employees. Yeah. So when our partners said, hey, you know what would really help me out? Put the condiment bar for two reasons. One, it'll make my job easier. And two, it'll actually make my customer happier.
At the last board meeting, you said something that really struck me, and I felt like it was a teaching moment for your senior team and maybe in a way for me. You said, we never walk past a Starbucks. I never walk past a Starbucks. To say more about that.
Yeah, so what I was noticing is, when you go on these visits, right, people want to take you to certain Starbucks. And I'm like, well, why are we walking by this Starbucks? And so I really do think if you want to act like an owner and truly act like you are a part of this company, you don't walk by a Starbucks. And what I mean by that is not only do you not walk by the Starbucks, but when you go in the Starbucks, you don't walk by what's going on in that Starbucks. So if there's a straw on the floor, you pick it up. If there's a table that's not bussed, you bust the table. you ask what's going on. And I think sometimes I call it become kind of store blind, where it's like, well, let's not pay attention to that one. Let's go pay attention to this one. And the problem with that is they're all equally important. And, if you just only go to the ones that are, humming along, you aren't aware of really what the problems are. So, you will hear, hopefully, if you swing by our Starbucks organization, me over and over again saying, hey, we need to act like owners. And that means we don't walk by a Starbucks.
I love that. Let's talk about digital. I saw a stat the other day, T-Life, which represents, over 65 million T-Mobile customers, 38% of them are Starbucks Rewards members, 38% of the people with T-Life.
Yeah.
Lots of overlap, also lots of potential. We should figure out how to drive that
say we need
up.
the other 60%.
Obviously, T-Mobile people are engaged with Starbucks. Digital, I know you're passionate about digital. People love it. But it's a double-edged sword also, right? It's got its pros and cons in terms of operational efficiency. What's the future of digital and mobile ordering at Starbucks?
Yeah, look, I think the opportunity is tremendous. The challenge we have at Starbucks is we didn't put, I would say, order to mobile order. So meaning right now, when you order at a Starbucks app it's first in, first out. So if, Mike, you're at the counter getting ready to order your drink, at the same time, all of a sudden, 10 mobile orders can come in and get in front of you in the queue. And the partner doesn't know that you now are 11th in position to make your drink. And you don't know that you're now 11th. And so you start walking down to the counter to get your drink, and you're like, well, where's my drink? I just ordered it. Meanwhile, the guys are working on 10 drinks that snuck in between the time of
For people that aren't
out.
even there yet.
For people that aren't even there yet.
Yeah.
And what we know is we'll make the drink, we'll put it on the counter, and more than likely it's going to sit there for 6.5 to 7.5 minutes. Meanwhile, you're standing there wondering where your drink is. And then when you ask our partner, where's my drink, they're going to start pulling tickets out of the printer to try and track down Mike. And so we got to fix that. And we've started the process where with software, we can control how many orders digitally come in per 5 minutes. And then also, now we're going to use camera and vision technology to understand how many people are in the queue that are actually in the store so that we can move how many orders we want to let in digitally, and then also how many cars are in the drive-thru. So what we have to get to is a place where you actually pick your pickup time. And then what we're going to do is we're going to allocate number of drink transactions per 5 minutes so that we'll offer you 9 o'clock, 9:05, 9:10, 9:15. And then the good news is now we should match the drink with when you show up. And then also it can sequence whether you're in the drive-thru or you're in the cafe so that everybody gets their order in what I would argue really good speed.
Yeah. So at Starbucks, partners are employees. There's another kind of partner, which is big companies that you collaborate with. Starbucks is a great partner to a number of big companies. T-Mobile has partnered with Starbucks through T-Mobile Tuesdays, and we've delighted millions of customers together that way. In your mind, what's the secret to great partnerships that go beyond promotions? What makes a great partnership?
It's kind of what you mentioned already, Mike. If we're companies that share similar values and have a similar mission as it relates to customer-centric, doing the right thing for the employee and the customer, those relationships usually go well beyond just a promotion. And so we find ways to work together that go beyond a promotion. And I know we're trying to figure out if there's ways we can go beyond the T-Mobile Tuesday program that I know is hugely successful for you guys and for Starbucks. But I think when you have those kinds of things where the cultures kind of blend and the commitment to the consumer blends,
builds up the brands.
It just builds each other's businesses because, you know what, it's great to have the company of T-Mobile. It's great to have the company of a Marriott or a Delta, or Target. So it's like the more you can, I think, associate your brand with good partners, and you tell your kids this, right? It's like the company you keep matters.
Yeah.
I think the same is true for brands and organizations.
Last word from you on Starbucks. What are you excited about over this next year? Like when you go into the office this week, what fires you up the most?
Oh man, there's a lot that we're working on, but I'm really excited about how we're going to bring back the coffee house. I think just bringing the coffee house back is going to change. It just, so many other things cascade from that. I think we're going to end up with much better food. We're going to end up with much more creative drinks. I think we're going to be much more relevant. Instead of chasing culture, I think we're going to be leading culture. And I actually think, too, there is this kind of epidemic going on of loneliness. Even though people say they're more connected than ever, they actually say they feel lonelier than ever. And I think there's actually a real passion for a third place. Like, I think it's great you guys have this pub. Like, you're creating a third place in a community moment for people here to engage with each other. And I don't think there's enough of that happening. And I think if we restore these coffee houses to the way they should be and the experiences that our baristas can provide, you know, even if it's a moment for yourself, it's always a lot better even to have a moment for yourself if you feel like you're in a community that you belong. And I think that's what these Starbucks, when we do it right, have the ability to do.
You sound fired up.
I am. I'm excited.
In 6 short months, I can't believe all the stuff we're already seeing, and the Back to Starbucks strategy is really inspirational. So thanks for telling us all about it, Brian. Thanks for being over here today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Brian Niccol, everybody. All right, you guys, that's it for Sidekicks Conversations for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming, Brian. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Mike.